This is episode 394 of GI Joburg. My name is Steven. I'm joined by my boys. It's Paul.
Paul is here. Who else is here?
Rob is here. I'm right here with you guys live. Instant reaction.
Way, and this is an even-numbered podcast, which in my mind tells me it's time to talk about plastic and plastic alone. Stop the presses. No news. No papers. No comic books. We're talking about action figures, vehicles, playsets, and hopefully something that we all own. But in this case, in this episode specifically, it goes one level even more special than that. We're talking about a GI Joburg Avatar, a classic. We're talking 1988 Shockwave. It's my boy. It's my turn. This is my show. Oh, Rob's got him too. Paul, hold up your figure.
I was just off camera.
Beautiful.
So,
there he is.
Shockwave. Blue Brigade is here.
Now, you're going to hear from me a lot in this episode. So let's give everyone a moment to breathe. And I'm going to shut the hell up and listen to the two of you relate your stories of where this figure finds himself in your esteem, how he found himself into your collections. Kick things off for me, Robbie.
Well, I mean, as we all know, or I mean, maybe some people don't know, Steven and I grew up together, and my toys were his toys, and his toys were my toys, and I just left them all at his house, and they just had a great fun time there. So growing up, I had like a rule: I would not buy any toys that Steven owned because he had them. So why would I need to own them too? So I kind of enjoyed Shockwave from a distance. I was like, oh, what a cool figure! He's like one of the coolest figures I've ever seen. But then shoot forward a couple of years, Rob's got a job. He's discovered eBay, and I made it a mission of mine. One of my very first purchases ever. I think it was probably behind my masterpiece. What's his name again? Skids. I always forget the name of my favorite Transformer.
So it was a reissue. Skids. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I got it
Classic.
right. Okay. I love that guy so much, so I forget his name. But yeah, just hot on the heels of that figure, I got myself a Shockwave, and because he was just so cool. So he was, I think, he is very much the very first double where like now I owned a version of the character that Steven owned. To talk a little bit about him, he's in pretty good condition. He is played with, so he's got his little like loose joints, but overall he looks fantastic. Very tight fingies. A little bit of a crack, I think, on his one elbow, but otherwise he looks absolutely fantastic.
Well, if his knees are tight, I would suggest that it's just the O-ring that needs replacing.
Oh, it could be. Oh,
yeah. That's all.
You're right. Damn. Steven, thank you. You've just made mine even better than yours.
Call me Doc. I know how to do action figure surgery. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's an interesting point that like we didn't want to have duplications, and so like amazing figures that we fawned over that happened to be the other guys, we did not double purchase.
Yeah, we didn't do that so much. I mean, I think you broke that rule fairly frequently. Well, you're probably the first person to break that. I don't know. I'd like to think so. That was more of a rule I think I had more than you had. You're like, oh, but Rob.
The rule I think would have existed most vividly when these things were, we could purchase them in the flesh,
like brand
on the pegs. It became less of a thing when we moved into the electronic age because, if you really wanted something, you weren't denying it from the other person. It wasn't a physical thing. There's an unlimited supply of them on eBay.
Yeah, but it was still a shared collection in a way. So, I mean, I still felt like I didn't want to because it's like, why would I waste money getting the same character that you had when we could just get a new character that we could expand the collection and have more fun playing with? So,
maximize the
I think it was a big step for me.
I think we need to rack our brains, maybe go through the collections when we are together again at the end of the year and determine what the first figure that was a duplication was.
Oh,
yeah, I think it was Shockwave.
I mean, so too, actually. I have to agree.
We
with
both
that.
had a
Well,
Mega Viper.
yes.
but-
Oh, we also both had Wild Bill as well. Wild Bill actually might be the first for some odd reason. The battle.
Well,
call
wasn't he
Wild
like
Bill.
all over the place for you guys? Like maybe
Yeah, he
got
was.
Wild Bill was
episodes
fairly
from-
common, and Rob, I think I gave you an extra Wild Bill because I had
You gave
Steve
me
even
a-
gave
yeah.
me a Wild Bill.
you get a Wild Bill.
Everybody gets a
You
Wild
get a
Bill.
Wild Bill.
You
So-
get a Wild Bill.
But yeah,
I
it
think-
possibly is Shockwave.
Apart from figures that we purchased without knowledge of each other purchasing,
Mm-hmm.
I think you broke the ice, and it was Shockwave. It all comes
Oh,
back
I
to
know,
episode
it's
394
me.
and the importance of this figure in each of our collections. Paul, Shockwave for you, dude.
Ooh,
What's the
Shock-
Who
significance?
is he?
Shockwave was the cool blue guy in the calendar. I mean, catalog. Sorry. I was always like hoping to
Well,
see
it
him
could be in one of
stores.
those like cops, you know how they do the firemen or rugby players, like
Oh
bunch
yeah,
of, like,
there's like
sexy-
Shockwave.
calendar, Mr.
Um,
November.
But Shockwave was, yeah, he was exactly that kind of character. Or no, not a calendar boy. He was exactly the kind of character in the catalog, like the Alley Viper, where I was like, wow, I really hope I run into this figure in South Africa at some point. You know, this was when, you know, you could still buy GI Joe toys in the stores because David didn't have him. David didn't have a Shockwave. And so it was a very like unknown kind of quantity for me. And so when 25th anniversary rolled around, and this is kind of also the thing with
Whoa.
Shockwave. Shockwave is very synonymous with like Steve and I, you know, meeting and, you know, knowing each other and becoming friends and stuff, because I got the 25th anniversary Shockwaves, and you know, they were okay. They like, I actually thought he was pretty cool. There were some like elements to him that I thought were rad. He came with like a riot shield and all that kind of stuff. I know today nobody thinks a riot shield's a cool thing, but like for the toy, I seem to think he had a riot shield for some reason. Anyway,
One of the
You're
25th
thinking of
anniversary
Shock
ones
Viper.
did.
yes,
You are thinking of
think
Shock
of the Shock
Viper.
Viper. But there was a
No.
shield. No, there is a shield that he comes with. Yeah.
Maybe
There
that was
is-
the new sculpt. Is it what's his name? Longscope and Lamont.
Well,
The-
the what they did is they repackaged him.
Wide scope.
Yeah, so there's a gray green version of him that they repackaged.
Yeah, which is the Night Force version.
Yes.
But
And I
25th
think that's the
anniversary.
one which comes with like a shield type thing. Anyway, I'm struggling to remember his original the 25th anniversary accessories. I was kind of like pleased with him, but when I showed him to Steve, that's kind of when I actually realized he was kind of an important character for Steve, an important toy for Steve, because Steve was like, "Oh, the Shockwaves, it's all wrong." Like, yeah, and Steve's not wrong. That Shockwave is all wrong. It
Shockwave
looks
is
like
classically underserved in
Yeah,
other
yeah.
iterations because, you know, a guy that tactical will always be a Franken Joe.
Mm,
Will always
you
be pulling
cannot-
holsters and parts and bulletproof vests from other characters, and it's just not a good look ever.
yeah, it's
He
very
deserves
borrowed.
more than that.
I agree.
Mhm.
No, he's got a very borrowed look, and it's quite sad. But yeah. So like Shockwave, you know, was that character, and then, well, as you can see here, like for me, Shockwave is, and very much like Scoop, are characters or toys I keep close to me because it's like having the guys here with me, you know. So, you know, they're normally on my Havoc, they crew my Havoc. But I also, like in this case, brought Shockwave with to Comic-Con. I've actually been a little bit scared of taking this out because I'm scared of losing it because of where I got it from. But yeah, we took him to Comic-Con, so Steve was with us at Comic-Con that just passed recently. We'll cover that.
Where did you get him, Paul? What's
I got
what's
him-
the importance of that particular one?
So I got this with that huge OLX buy when I bought them from that guy called Sean, who had like an ice cream tub full of GI Joes. It was like a whole bunch, and he was actually
So
in
to
that.
fill in anyone who's unsure, that means this was a local seller in South
Yes.
Africa. So it must have been bought on pegs back in the day in good old RSA.
Which is nice. So at least
Yeah.
mine's like homegrown as well, which makes me super
Lekker
happy.
J, dude, they're all made in China.
Yeah, they're
Sorry to
all made.
break
Well, this one is. Some of them are made in Hong Kong. So this one's made in China though.
I
Mine's
think
made
by
in Hong Kong.
88, What? Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
probably
Well, yours
can't
is an
see it because
American
it's
one,
not
Rob.
focusing.
So,
But
Rob, I
yeah,
think yours is an earlier draw of the plastic. If it has a
yeah,
Hong Kong stamp, I'm gonna think like, yeah, because they were shifting all production into China. So by the time the South African stock made its way into Paul and my
yeah.
hands, yeah, made in China. That's what we got.
Because
I
my
have a more original Shockwave.
Ooh.
and my Storm Shadow's made in Hong Kong, but also the
Ooh.
toy. So,
Thought he
He's
was
so funny.
American. Anyway,
American in Hong Kong. Anyway,
I don't know
sorry.
how deep to get on my backstory with Shockwave or not, but I guess yeah, it's best to just let it all hang out. 1990 was year one for GI Joe for me. That was a big year, and it's ironic that like GI Joe, a property from the 1980s, really was a property of the 90s for me functionally. But in that year alone, I was very fortunate to receive, and I've got the list here. Let me call it up. My first three, that being Lifeline, Monkey Wrench, and Iceberg. But then in addition to that, got busy. I mean, these were available at the supermarket. They were as impulse buy as buying a Hot Wheels car. So naturally, a lot of them found their way into the basket. I got Mainframe, Hydro Viper, Heat Viper, Night Viper, Toxo Viper, Iron Grenadier, Countdown, Avalanche, Lightfoot, Backblast, Stalker V2, Snake Eyes V3, Charbroil. My first vehicle came all the way in the tail end of the year at Christmas time, and I got somewhere in that slew Shockwave. So over that 12-month span, Shockwave is in there. And I put all these guys, all this assortment of odds and bods, a lot of Vipers, a few weird, like Joe's, like an astronaut, a flame trooper. God, was there any through line to my collecting at that point? Not really.
Cobra.
But I
Yeah.
there's a lot of Joes in there as well. Avalanche, because I like baby poop on a white uniform. I put all those guys into South Africans in the audience might recognize the name Bubblegummers, a shoebox, a sort of kids shoe brand called Bubblegummers. I think it was exclusively
God, I
South
haven't heard
African.
that word in a long time.
Yeah,
Sorry,
apart from the
man.
fact that you heard it
Yeah.
this evening when the recording crashed. Hey, little
But
pig
still, like
boy.
I haven't heard it in a long time. It's just like every time you say it, I'm like, ugh. Like I never had those. But anyway, carry on.
But the shoebox was a lot of fun because it was black with a lot of, sorry, it was white with a lot of black printing, like coloring ins and like join the dots and little activities printed onto the shoebox. So it
Hmm.
enjoyed a little bit of life beyond just being a shoebox. Of course, it enjoyed a lot of life. It was the carrier of my GI Joe collection to that point. I handed this box to my brother, older brother, 9 years older. So naturally, I put him on a pedestal, and anything he said was something that I hung on a great deal. I needed him to break the tie for me. I needed him to pick a Joe out of this box that was somehow cooler than the rest. And he settled on Shockwave. I don't think he deliberated much. He just picked up this figure and said, this guy. This guy is the man. And it's easy to see why. Absolute tactical look, all business with the bulletproof vest, 2 knives, 2 sidearms. Like the sculpt itself is ferociously well armed.
He's
But then he's got
dangerous.
these little elements of swagger. Do you ever notice he's wearing high tops? I mean, they
Yes.
could be like a canvas boot, but they've got a lot of design elements that make them look like sneakers. They've got shell toes. They've got what looks like 3 stripes on them or some kind of
Mm.
stitching
Yeah.
and like a heel cap as well and like a tab at the back. So you could play them either way. And then instead of wearing a very sensible helmet, because, SWAT guys, they typically do wear helmets, eye protection, mouth protection. There's no end to the amount of sensible armor you can wear when going through a door. He wears this wicked cool floppy peaked cap. I don't know what you'd call it. It's not a trucker hat. It's not a baseball hat. It's
Mhm.
it's its own thing, and I love it. I freaking love it. The cable knit on his balaclava, making it look thick. There's a lot of fabric to that balaclava. It ain't no thin little like granny knitted me a sweater kind of thing. It's legit
Chunky.
tactical wear, probably good for cold weather as well. Hell, the whole figure is good for cold weather. Oh, there's a lot to like about this guy. The drop leg holsters, which on some Joes, like I'm looking at you, Flint, just a holster that somehow appears out of his cargo pants or his camis. This guy has sculpted straps, painted sculpted straps, not just around the thigh, but also connected to his belt. The belt has magazines on it. I mean, this guy's built for close quarters battle. Where you
GP.
go from one gun, you go to the next, you then get down to your knife for really hairy situations, and if things go absolutely hell for leather, you drop down into crouch position, pull out that little dagger, and make some quick incisions. I don't know.
Stabby stabs.
Stabby McStabberson. I don't know, guys. Do you have anything you want to say about the sculpt itself?
Ooh, we jumping there.
Let's jump.
Okay,
I've
do
teed it up.
I do want to get the elephant out of the room when it comes to Shockwave,
Oh.
because this is a small issue. Rather, it's actually kind of a large issue that I have with it. But I've always found his head to be a little bit too big.
Sacrilege.
Yeah, I know. It's just that there's like a
Lies.
super poofiness to his like balaclava that for me always makes his head just a little bit biggish. But like, I feel like that's just something that we've all come to sort of accept with some GI Joes, because it doesn't like. I don't know if making his head smaller would make him a better looking toy, and so that's something that's worth mentioning. And I know we're talking about the sculpt, but I really love his camouflage. Like, I love the little Tetris blocks kind of thing. I like that there's kind of a sort of a design symmetry between him and Storm Shadow. Like with the they got the blocky kind of vibes, and he's got some yellow on him. He's
Yeah, it's got two colors, which I quite like as well.
Yeah.
Kind of the blockiness. It's not just one color.
And I also do feel like this, I am going to blame the sculpt for this, but this guy for me is really difficult to draw. I really have so much trouble drawing Shockwave for some reason. It is just one of those characters where I just can't quite get an aesthetic out of it that I like. Like I'm sure what I'm doing is sort of okay, but yeah, so I struggle with that. So sometimes I'm at odds with this figure because I'm like, oh, you're so cool, but why are you such a pain in the ass to draw? Like, to get it looking right.
It could
So
be all
that's
the
the thing for
folds.
me.
Like his clothing is very like creased. I like
It's
that there's
that
a lot of
vest.
folds in the clothing.
Yeah, it's the vest, and it's
Oh.
also the bi-directional weave on the balaclava. You've got like horizontal weave going on the side of the head, and then you got a horizontal weave going. A vertical weave going
Vertical.
down
Yeah,
the
there
face.
is a difference to that. Yeah.
So
So
it's
there's
like,
a lot of like parallel lines going on, but
yeah,
also clashing parallel lines.
and then you have
Yeah,
to get his hat right, because you can't just do like a normal peak cap, like a
Yeah,
like a
it
peachy
has to be
hat.
the kind of like fabric hat that he has on. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
fantastic sculpt overall. Like everything feels functional. Like there's a reason for it being there. Two knives and two guns. That's absolutely insane. Like, and that's before you even get into his accessories.
Which was a necessary thing because I lost his accessories early doors. The only thing from my original Shockwave that is original to him is the backpack. The knife disappeared. The pistol disappeared. The gun, before it disappeared, the submachine gun, I snapped both the stock and the suppressor.
That's
So it
definitely
became
a
a very
thing.
sort of, yeah, absolutely easy breaks to make. But yeah, good thing the sculpt was so well armed, because oftentimes I wouldn't even equip this guy. He would go on missions just as is.
On-site
I would
procurement.
imagine him drawing his pistols.
Yeah.
Didn't
Oh,
actually
okay.
put pistols in his hands. Easy. Nothing to lose. Nothing
Yeah.
further to lose. And to address your head sculpt points, that it being a little bit big, this was a hallmark of A-Rod Joe, and I think it's for the better and not for the worse. To that point, I would say A-Rod Joes that have undersized heads really stand out as being problematic.
Okay.
For the portraits to be slightly oversized, it fits a proportion aesthetic that makes it classic O-ring Joe. Like that is the correct proportion of head to torso to
Yeah,
waist to legs.
yeah,
And I mean, in universe, it's easy to explain. He's wearing a puffy hat on top of a thick knitted balaclava. So you strip that away, and he's got a normal sized head. And I frequently did give him a head swap. Can anyone remember which head I used? Points for, I mean, it wasn't the DEF Shockwave, in case you were wondering.
It was Flint from the Mega Environmental Patrol.
Eco Warriors. Eco Warriors Flint,
Yeah.
I think, had the right look of a. I mean, it's a fantastic head sculpt in its own right. And if you didn't necessarily see Flint in it, because Flint is so obviously typically wearing a beret, you could see Shockwave in it. Jason Ferreira, the youngest member of the Detroit SWAT team, who, you know, a lot of people take that to mean surely he must be quite junior then. But no, I've always taken that to mean, yes, he was the youngest member of the SWAT team. He ain't a young man anymore. He set that record and now has kind of moved on into an area of supreme need, which is the GI Joe team. And why would GI Joe need a SWAT guy? Let's spiral out into that point now.
spiral cannon.
I can't think of a reason. I mean, like they have basically all the bases covered. You know, they go into jungles, they go into forests, they're out there shooting at range. It could be like urban environments. Maybe they have less experience in the urban environment situation. You know, kind of like busting down doors and stuff and like clearing, I suppose, rooms and houses and things. It's possible.
Which is something you'd expect an elite unit to do. I mean, you don't have to look too far to see images of like, you know, a SEAL team, each, you know, going into an enclosed environment, clearing a room, stuff like that. But like specifically, why do you get someone from law enforcement to join the team to spearhead those kind of operations? I mean, I could think of one important reason, but I have a sneaking suspicion our man Paul has some insight into that as well.
Yeah, so based on a recent conversation that we've kind of had about this, I do feel like when GI Joe was conceived as a toy line and as a military force, that you know the American army wasn't, or the U.S. Army, American Army, the U.S. Army and U.S. military wasn't doing too much in terms of urban operations, and so I think there was a kind of a subconscious need to like put a character like this to kind of help guide GI Joe, or you know, into the urban vibes. And I'd say that because a lot of the conflicts, yes, all conflicts have urban zones, but you know, a lot of that was happening in the desert or in the jungle or in the bush, you know. So there's that one side. That's kind of my initial theory, which goes with Rob saying earlier that, you know, urban environments are something that maybe the Joes don't have skills with. Which, you know, and I think Steve will elaborate on that a bit more. But the main thing is like my dad, for example, during the whole Angola thing, the police would go with the military. So my dad was police. And so they would go with the army because when, for example, even though the army was deployed there and maybe there was like, you know, peace or not peace, but there was an agreement, the army have no, you know, they're not allowed to do anything. They're not allowed to, I don't want to say enforce the law, but I'm going to say they're not allowed to enforce the law. Okay. They're not allowed to make arrests or enter people's homes or any of that kind of stuff. So if there is, like, for example, a suspected terrorist that is behind closed doors, they needed a police officer to be able to present a warrant to be able to provide access for the military to get there.
So was your dad that guy?
My dad was one of those guys, yeah. Like, and also
the tip of the spear, there might be 30 armed dudes with R1 rifles behind him, but he's the guy holding up the freaking warrant. I mean,
yeah,
that must have been a cuck your pants kind of situation.
Well, yeah, because I don't want to go into too many like macabre things here because it can be maybe quite PTSD triggering to some listeners. But like, for example, my dad's told me stories of situations where there was like a suspected terrorist or something that was hiding in a house, and they were just really lucky because the bomb or something that guy had went off. When I say they were lucky, my dad and the military were lucky because this bomb went off, just before they like got there or as they arrived at the vehicles or something happened. And so you would go in there and my dad would say it would be like a bit of a mess. And it was a situation of like, okay, so now you got a policeman on scene that can say, this is what happened, and actually make a statement and that kind of stuff. And then you got the other side of it, which, yeah, like you said now, it's like really scary because you're there and you're basically like, dung, 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 this is police, kind of, it's the police, kind of, please open up your home so we can search because we have reason to believe XYZ is hiding here. And yeah, if bullets and stuff start flying through that door, you're the first point of contact, I suppose. Yeah, there's lots of reasons. I mean, like, just to elaborate on one more thing, or just to expand on something as well with I don't want to talk about the army misbehaving or anything like that because that's more MP's territory. But if you want, like the military itself is not designed for assassination. They're not a squad of killers. They're not going out there to go and headhunt this person and kill them. And those times, a lot of the time, it was much more beneficial to apprehend these people so that you could get intelligence and things like that. So it was beneficial to have sort of a policeman on that side. Now that's okay. I know we're going into MP territory sort of in a weird way, but it was good to have a cop with you so that you could make the arrest, get the dude, process the evidence, make sure everything has gone through with a lawful process, so that the guy doesn't just like, get detained and then was released or manages to do something and then the government then turns it onto itself and says, no, it was actually this and that. It's just I'm speaking in vagaries, but it's just to protect the military's ass to have a cop with them. But there is a more tactical reason, and I think Steve is dying to tell everybody about that.
Yeah, look, I don't know how many times you need to make arrests on Cobra baddies. That's best solved with a double tap to the head. But no, I think just in the same vein, you get a desert-specific expert like Dusty on the team, or an Arctic-specific expert like Snowjob or Iceberg. In the same vein, like GI Joe has such a vast net of specialization that to get a guy like Shockwave on the team that can specifically drill CQB and also rather unique and like unconventional CQB as well, because like, yeah, sure, in an army situation or navy or marines or whatever, that you got, your backup, you got your whole team behind you. But like in law enforcement, oftentimes an officer is doing these situations alone, like entering a suspect's residence. They've been called to the scene. If there's no time to wait for backup, like, you're doing all this shit solo. And solo CQB, I mean, I've done a little bit of research. It looks to be a different beast to when you have, someone else with you. Very different beast, very dangerous beast, perhaps the most dangerous situation you can find yourself in any kind of urban tactical situation. But anyway, let's stop speaking beyond my ken anyways and start talking a little bit more about the plastic. Let's call up 3djoes.com because the file card is something we can obsess over for a little bit. But I just want to remind everyone that I love this action figure. I'm not necessarily a fan of the character. I don't necessarily attribute, like, I'm Shockwave as a character is a little bit of a blank canvas because he hasn't got very many appearances, and what appearances he does have, he doesn't get to do anything characteristic or signature. He's just a very tactical guy, a cool head, has an appearance in Special Missions issue 21, I'm gonna say. Yes, 22, sort of crashing through a window and tactically solving a hostage situation.
As well as his first appearance in Special Missions number 17, where he's one of several characters invading a business kind of like a
Yeah.
bunker type computer place. And he's got some smarts there. That he kind of like, hey, how are we gonna get in through the roof? And like, oh, don't worry, Shockwave's gonna put down a shaped charge, and we're gonna make our own entrance into the building.
In both of
But-
those situations, he wasn't really taking charge. You know, in his first appearance, it was Stalker's show. He was the senior man. He's the legacy character. And then in the issue 22, it seems like Chuckles is kind of the man in charge. Shockwave is just a warm body doing what he does. But, you know, the file card goes into detail about him being the youngest member of Detroit SWAT, which I'm sure is quite a high bar. You know, I'm sure it's something that you would want more seasoned veterans to be on that sort of crack team. But he had the right stuff, and that was the stuff that got him selected for GI Joe. Larry, if he authored this file card, always loves to throw in little nuggets that give you something of a character, and in his case, it's choir.
The irony.
I'm not a military man, but I don't know if choir necessarily is a military specialty. Valid
Actually, I'm putting my hand up here. This is pretty cool. My standard 3, grade 5 teacher in primary school, Mr. Wilsonach, you awesome human being, if you ever hear this podcast. He was a military man. He worked for he was an SA. He was actually active in the SANDF as well as being a teacher at the time. And so sometimes he would not be there for a month on operation. And he was part of the Welsh Boys Choir.
And is that a military
Those
unit?
drunks.
Yeah. But I mean, like, you know, there were a bunch of army boys that, because I asked him, like I said, like, are you the only like army man in the choir? And he's like, no, actually quite a lot of us are in the choir. It's like really, really good. And that was interesting. And so I always think of Mr. Volsenach as well when I look at this, because yeah, Peter de
Well,
Volsenach.
considering, I mean, yeah, there's at least one character whose like specialty is like refrigeration units or something. I feel like, you know, choir can be a military specialty too.
Look, there's another theory that I sometimes tossed around, and that's the fact that you have a rather banal secondary military specialty, because GI Joe is this clandestine organization, and every Joe needs to have a cover story. So whether it's chaplain's assistant or finance clerk or choir conductor, you know, like everyone's got a reason for being stationed at this secret base that is not, yeah, I'm a member of GI Joe. We fly around the world and kick terrorists' asses. Like,
Well,
come
yeah,
and
there's
find
got to
me.
be something on the payslip, you know. So
Yeah.
I like
also
that.
a reason that, like, sometimes, you know, if someone is given a nominal rank as an E4, it's not because Shockwave has worked his way up militarily. He's been given that because that is the sort of the equivalency of what his pay grade would have been at in the Detroit Police Department. But the file card does have an interesting nuggets, and this is something that, like, I didn't know because I didn't have his file card. Somehow I lost his card back. I kept a lot of card backs from my youth, didn't keep this one, which is a shame because the art is incredible. We'll get onto that in a minute. But someone asked him why he would leave a promising career in police department to work longer hours for less money, kicking down doors on better armed adversaries. Like, that's a trifecta of danger right there, and very little recompense. Shockwave replied, "What? You think I do this for the money?" Which begs the question, why does he do it? Is he an idealist? Does he feel like GI Joe is the best use of his talents? So to hell with, you know, like, danger to his personal health or earning a better pension, like, or is it something else? Does he enjoy the thrill? Is he, you know, rock star, burn bright and then fade out?
Maybe he's just got a weird compulsion. Maybe as a child, he's just one of those, you know, every time he got onto the bus to go to school or was on his way to school, he just passed all the houses in the, in suburbia. And he's like, damn, I want to see what's going on in those houses. I want to kick down all them doors. You know, like maybe that's his thing. He's like, he wants to kick down every door. There should be no more doors. I'm a door kicker, damn
So
it.
you're saying he's like an A-type personality, he just wants to just do it.
I'm just sharing the amusing like cartoon of him and I had in my head right now, where he's just compulsively
So
wanting to kick down doors. But
Oh, it's a disorder then. Nice and cool.
but
Taking a swipe at disabilities. Right.
no, man, I understand compulsions and things like that. So I understand, like, you know, him wanting to do that. I mean, we like playing with toys, so it's like, you know. But actually, I think with a character like, you know, okay, firstly, like, let's just highlight something. The reason they're specifically putting out Detroit Police Department is that aside from Los Angeles, Detroit and Los Angeles, Detroit, New York were like heavily crime infested in the 80s when these file cards were drafted, and Detroit more so because it was suffering from like insane like economic decline because of the closing of the motor factories and the stock market crash and all this mad stuff that was happening. So, and we see this as evidenced in pop culture by films like RoboCop, which were
I was gonna
highlighting.
say, in an
And
alternate reality, his file name would be Alex Murphy.
Yeah, he's TJ Laser, my dude. And the other side of it is also that, I mean, also Married with Children riffing on how dangerous Detroit is also another sign that comedy or pop culture has shown us that this was a real thing. I think you kind of get it yourself into a mindset of like, yes, it's really, really dangerous work, and maybe, you know, the difference is like when you're out in the field, and I don't want to like, please, I'm not trying to trivialize police or the military or whatever's here. It's just cops have a very different life. When you know the criminals paint targets on your back in a big way, especially when you're dealing with like very dangerous areas. So the South African police can attest to that, especially these days. They are under constant threat, and I think in the military, when you're up against bigger opponents, you got up against bigger military, but you've also got a big specialized force that you get to work with, something that, you know, unifies you. You know, you're going to make the country better. You're protecting, you know, the country from something greater than just criminality. And also, I think your lifestyle's a little less stressful, you know, because when you work for the military, nobody knows where you live. When you work for the cops, criminals will find that shit out. So maybe it's that. And I'm just, it's just some color for this. Maybe it's, you know,
He wants to
subjective.
make sure people can still make that choice to be a criminal or not, you know, by protecting the country overall.
Yeah, he's protecting your rights, your
Well,
freedom.
he might be a thrill seeker. I mean, like he got into. I mean, he had what was this? 2 citations for bravery. That means that like he's putting himself in dangerous situations to save, you know, as many people as he can, or to kind of be the, you know, and as a doorman, he is the first one in there. Like he gets to see what happens first. He gets the first shot at these guys before anyone else does. So I mean, it's surprising he wouldn't have gotten more citations for bravery. So it could be a combination of a lot of things. He might be a thrill seeker. It's kind of like, you know, and also
Yeah.
he entered in young into the department as well, or he got into the SWAT team very early, which means that he kind of
It might be a
worked
legacy.
exceptionally hard, legacy, or he worked exceptionally hard on the beat to be able to get into the SWAT team.
Yeah.
So I think he pushed very hard because that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to be able to get in there and save people and do it the most efficient way possible. So
I like that.
yeah.
And before we hand over to Steve, sorry, dude, but I do like to play him as the opposite to like the Alley Vipers. You know, I do. Like,
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, because the Pursuit of Cobra did this fantastic beachhead figure, which was fully decked out in like urban, like, you know, 5 minutes into the future, urban tactical gear. And in a lot of ways, I feel like that should have been Shockwave and not Beachhead. But obviously, Beachhead's a more better known character. Yeah, because I think that would have been so cool had Shockwave had that. But yes, for me, Shockwave is the anti-Alley Viper kind of side of things. And I see him as a great foil for somebody like Firefly in your urban environments. You know, if you had to put Firefly in charge of that Alley Viper squad, as per the Pursuit of Cobra catalogs would want you to have. But yeah, those are just some thoughts there. Steve?
I think that's my question answered, Paul. Let's
There
talk
we
about
go.
his bloody card art, man.
Oof.
Astounding.
Yes, it is beautiful card art.
Now that's someone who can draw Shockwave properly. Paul, take note.
Yeah, like no, I have.
Although he cheated, doesn't he? He's done a little bit of cheats there. He doesn't actually accurately represent the jacket
Yes,
with the puffiness of it. But
and I
other
know
than that,
why.
it's
Because that
please.
artist is a lot smarter than I am. Okay, because I am trying to go toy accurate, and this artist was like, "Nah, I got to get me a paycheck and get the shit on the card," you know. So
But
no.
beautifully represented. Like you got the knives on him there. You have the straps. He's kind of like in a, I don't know, like what is this pose he's in here? He's like,
He's
oh,
going for the
hold it
door.
right there.
That's about to
He's
Uh,
going
turn
for the
handle.
door.
Mm.
He's got his SMG sort of tucked in, so he can then push the door and then push his weapon forward into a firing position. You know, that's like once again did a little bit of YouTubing, casually looking at how people clear rooms. And if you do have, you know, if you've got a longer gun, you're in trouble. But if you've got
Mhm.
something short, you pull it in close to yourself so you can get around corners, and then you extend to take the shot, and then you're back in. Like it's such a choreographed um display of like entering a room and keeping moving so the guys behind you can kind of file in immediately. Like, do not create any kind of traffic jams. You need this kind of fluid motion. And this is the sort of shtick that Shockwave would be on the team, imparting onto the guys who are more accustomed to open ranges, like the Footlooses and Leathernecks of the team.
Yeah,
They
you
don't
just run to
do
somewhere,
this on
you
the
get your
regular.
cover.
Yeah.
What I also like is that the card art also depicts his knife, like his Bowie knife, the gigantic knife
Oh,
that's kind of like
it is
attached to
enormous.
the
there.
side of his backpack.
Yeah.
And
It also
that,
depicts the torch on the top of his backpack. That
yes,
detail is picked out so nicely.
which is great, and because you can see it better on the art than you can. I mean, like the angle that we're looking at here, you can't see it so good on the backpack.
Hmm.
And that also brings an interesting question: which way do you guys put the backpack? Do you
Oh,
have the knife on the left, or does the knife coming down on the right? Why I asked is
flashlight
because
on top
a
for me.
canteen. Okay, because there's a canteen at the bottom, and I'm like, it's kind of upside down if you put it up this way.
I don't take that to be a canteen.
Oh, I always thought it was a canteen.
That's a pouch to me. And
Yeah,
if
maybe it
yeah,
is.
look, the backpack has a flap.
Yes, I
You
can
can
see it now.
see where it
I just
opens
always
from.
assumed that was a and great backpack by the way. Lots of little pouches
Shockwaves.
and little
Oh,
details.
certainly. Steve,
Fascinating.
I know on the podcast. Okay, I've got two questions for Steve.
On
The
the
first one
podcast,
is, with as much as you love this guy, why haven't we seen him on a play motion yet?
ooh,
And given spotlight.
that
That's the
is a
first question.
big question.
And the second one is, I know you're a fan of Rainbow Six, but is it Shockwave that got you into like some of the ideas or things about Rainbow Six that you enjoyed, or do you feel that Rainbow Six has informed your enjoyment of a character like Shockwave? I'm curious.
These are wild questions.
Answering the second question first, I think GI Joe in general interested me in Rainbow Six because Rainbow Six is Tom Clancy's attempt at creating the GI Joe team within the confines of the real world,
Mm.
and not just the GI Joe team, like almost the Action Force team,
Yeah,
because Rainbow
international
Six
heroes.
is yes
They
sourcing
operate out of Belgrade. Mm.
the best anti-terrorist members from around the world,
Mm.
whether it's French GIGN, the German GSG 9, the
Australian SAS.
Israeli Mossad, Australian SAS. Yeah, dude, amazing. From the United States, they had primarily SEAL members.
Mm.
Best of the
I
best.
think, yeah. John Clark, I think he was a Navy man. He was 6. So
That's
the
very
leader
cool.
of it. Anyway, why this has never been adapted into a live action film, I will never know. But that would, if that ever does come to pass, that will be taken as read. That is my like go-to GI Joe movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, assuming it's not an absolute turkey,
And
assuming
they
they
haven't, like,
do the
over
source
Hollywooded it.
material justice.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I wish I had this figure carded now because that would be the one to have. Good lord, what an amazing visual assault. We were so treated to see this stuff with our own eyeballs
Mm,
in stores
yeah.
in that era of opulence. Like this stuff was, as I said before in this podcast, like it was as ubiquitous as Hot Wheels cars. Just
Yeah.
seeing in the bloody supermarket swing tags of this.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
Yep. It was a magical sight, man.
This is the best time ever. I mean, yeah. So you don't want to think about toy stores these days with the hundreds of like 5 points of articulation toys and
Dude, they've got
rip-off
shit that kids flip
toys.
out over, and that's fine. It's a different time.
It's a different time, yeah.
those LOL surprises and
I
Mr.
want people
Beast
to flip
Lab
out
toys.
over little men too. You know, why can't we
Well,
all just
Minecraft, the
enjoy
Minecraft
little
figures
men?
did well.
Little military men.
The
Come on.
Minecraft figures have little military men articulation, which is pretty cool. I must say, for that price point, I'm very impressed with them.
I don't want to.
I feel I need just to close off on Shockwave's actual plastic and why it's so
Mhm.
cool.
So cool.
While I said I did not have the accessories as a child, I've learned to embrace them now because I have multiple versions. The stock on the gun, too long.
Mhm.
So if you do have a broken one, what I've done is drill a hole and put in just a wire, piece of
Oh,
bent wire.
fascinating. Yeah, you can see the difference.
Because it's very hard to tuck the original accessory without stressing and bending that actual wire stock.
Yeah. That's a nice solution,
But
Stephen.
it is a made-up gun. It's not a real thing. It has all the furniture of what would look like a real gun, but it doesn't really resemble anything in existence. And that's okay with me.
Yeah.
Because 88 was a year where things got a little bit more sci-fi, but still looked like a kick-ass submachine gun.
Yeah.
You see that extended mag coming off the bottom. It's probably 30, maybe even more rounds in there. The pistol as well. It's a beast of a thing. Kind of awkward for him to hold. I've actually shaved down the pistol grip a little bit in order to get
I
into.
like
Yeah,
Snake.
it's scary. It's scary putting this gun into his hand. You're like,
Yeah, you were mentioning all the door breaching tactics, and you just got me thinking of Metal Gear. But sorry, Steve, like carry on, like because now.
And then we come to the final accessory. They didn't need
Mm.
it because he's got so many sculpted knives, but the fact that you've got this Crocodile Dundee Rambo motherfucker of a knife, it's just like I know we spoke about him being a really dedicated soldier, but this just tells me he's a fucking psycho.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't bust the door down, he's gonna cut it or cut it open.
It's got a saw
forced.
blade on it. It's
Yeah.
it is that Rambo knife, and it's a fabulous piece. Yeah, I don't see him using it much, but that just tells me a little bit about how many different directions you could take this guy. I mean, he is like, if you could not bear wearing or having the sort of the Snake Eyes gimp as your primary, this was the coolest
choice.
possible runner-up. In my book, a superior choice because he could actually speak. And you know me, I like talking.
Yeah, and he doesn't stink like Beachhead.
Guys, I am going to jump off because why? I got a crying child. And
Fair
that in the Jabba household means I have a mission. I've got to kick down a door and I've got to silence
baby.
the perpetrator.
Oh, hopefully not using CPU.
But I've thoroughly enjoyed talking about my favorite action figure of all time.
Close quarter babying.
This is my childhood one. And if my lighting was better, you'd be able to see exactly how green his powder blue is. But
Yeah,
I need to
Well,
thank
if
two
you are
amazing.
You'll
Ah,
see.
yes, Rob's got a
I got
flawless
a
example.
primo version. Ooh, sexy.
Let me
Just
think.
in need of a new O-ring. But I do need to thank two amazing members of our GI Joburg family,
Do it, please.
and that
do.
is Ryan and Cody, because those two gentlemen knew that I was without a Shockwave here in Australia, and to my rescue, each sent me one without conferring.
Ah,
Amazing.
So I have two
that's
incredible
wonderful.
examples of Shockwave, in addition to my childhood OG.
You have a squad of
And to-
shockwaves. Brilliant.
And to think, I remember Rob saying something like Shockwave is a better beachhead.
Yeah, I really
I
did.
feel like maybe
You can
we-
debate that yourselves, gents. Bye bye. Thanks for listening, everyone. See you next week.
Goodbye,
Okay,
Steve.
Steve.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's just
Well-
leaves us.
Well, I mean, I just think blue is kind of like, I don't know. I like the blue more than I like the green.
Okay, that's fair.
In the end, like I think, and he's more stylish. He has that amazing cap on, which the other one doesn't. There's no cap.
I love Shockwave because of what Shockwave represents to our little trio.
Yeah.
And to possibly to our listeners out there.
100%.
He is very much representative of Steve, but I do enjoy Beachhead a bit more as a figure, in all fairness.
Yeah, fair enough. I
Um,
get it, especially when
yeah.
you consider that. I mean, we did touch on it earlier, but there really hasn't been another good representation of Shockwave since
There really hasn't
the
been.
original version. Like the two modern era ones, I believe both came out in essentially the same year, 2009.
Yeah.
One was like a con exclusive.
So glad you're mentioning this.
No,
Though.
it wasn't a con exclusive. It was a comic pack.
Comic 2-pack with
kit
Destro. Yeah.
But then they kind of did basically the exact same figure, I believe, for Wall. Oh, no, it wasn't con exclusive. It was a Walmart exclusive.
Walmart
So
exclusive.
they did a slightly different color version on that. And I mean, you did touch on it earlier. You were like, the one's kind of like greeny. And yeah, they just haven't got him right again since his original version.
Yeah, no, and I just I don't want to get people's elbows up. But like we do not wish to raise your heckles. When I mentioned earlier about the 25th 25th Shockwave, Shock Blast as they call him.
Shock
It just
Blast.
sounds like,
Yeah, that's actually why you're struggling to say it, because 2008 they brought out the recoloring of Shock Blast. And he's basically green. So basically you do actually get a beated version of Shock Blast.
But I do feel like I do want guys to know that there are a lot of qualities about those two figures that are great, and they actually are a lot of fun. They just don't hit the high bar that we wanted them to, or especially that Steven has actually kind of set for us with Shockwave.
Yeah, for sure.
But the guys who designed those figures, they did try to make that guy interesting. You got the face mask. So I keep saying the shield, but actually I know why I keep getting confused with the shield is because the military elite PTE, those figures, they came with guys that came with shields.
Oh, and they look similar to what's
yes,
his name.
and I put one on my Shockwave because I always thought it made sense. And so in my head, it's like I Mandela affected myself into thinking that it actually came with that all along.
This is what it comes with.
This is what it actually comes. So it actually only comes with two pistols, which were which are sculpted on the vintage, and he's got these giant like bread box holders on his legs, and like he's great. There's a quality to that's great. There's a playability there that's fun.
They're fun for what they the time they came out in.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously we all know they kind of Frankenjoed almost all of those figures after a certain time, and I think the parts choices on those are pretty decent. They come together to make a passable version of the original. They kind of touch on the recognizable parts. The iconic parts, especially the cap becomes the cap.
So like they did do a lot right with it, to be fair. And
I know for sure.
Especially knowing what we know now about toy production as well in those times and how challenging it would be. But they did pack the one with Destro, and it came with. I didn't think much of the comic. I thought it was a bit like hammy. It reminds me a little bit of. Well, I just want to go there right now, and then the other one, the movie, because the other one was technically a movie packaging figure that came with a Night Creeper, which was actually my main quarry when I was looking for that, because I wanted that Night Creeper because I wanted a blue Night Creeper because it's cool, because up till then
Yeah,
all the Night
different color
Creepers have
Night
been like
Creeper is great. Yeah.
reddish, pink, burgundy, those vibes. You guys know I love me a Night Creeper. We did a hit and run review on that. We need to do hit and run reviews again, man. This is my bad, by the way. Why
Yeah,
we haven't
no
done them.
worries, my
We
dude.
gotta
We
get
will
them.
definitely get back to that at some point.
Definitely.
But Shockwave. So I
Yes.
think we all agree Shockwave is a great figure. He's fantastic. If you guys don't own him yet, do it. He is absolutely worth owning.
And also, like Rob said, he's absolutely worth owning. And please take a moment and pop in the comments how does Shockwave feature in your play? Like, how does he feature in your Joverse? What does he do? You've heard some ideas and thoughts that we've had. Steve very cunningly evaded my question about the play motion, which means he's probably going to maybe he'll surprise
probably
us. I
in the
don't know.
process of making it right now. But if
Or
it's anything
something.
like the way that we played with our Joes when we were kids, it'll be some sort of really awesome urban infiltration
Thing, yeah.
Shockwave, being the spearhead, kind of getting in there and rescuing some I don't know.
And
Emperor Palpatine, probably, because we don't have very many civilian figures.
and also, like, coming back to that now, I actually understand why Shockwave was kind of a target for me when I was just starting off my modern era collection, because there was something about I was playing a lot of Metal Gear. I think Metal Gear Peace Walker had just come out around that time, or either was out.
2009.
Yeah, so I think it was out. But it had all of the cool, like, sneaking in and all that. And I think in a weird way, Shockwave was kind of my surrogate for Snake in some respects as well.
I can see that.
Yeah, because of
That makes sense.
There was just something very, especially the blue one, because it had a very Metal Gear Solid 2 kind of Snake look to it. But yeah, guys, that has been Shockwave. Not the Transformer, the GI Joe, and
not the one who's trying to kill everyone and everything.
not the one who's trying to kill everybody, even his own, to experiment on them, because he's a psychobot. But yeah, this has actually been a really good one. I've enjoyed it. I'm sad and happy that Steve had to bow out, because at least it gives Rob and I a chance to just do the recap and catch up on some thoughts there. So that Steve has got something cool to watch when he gets to this part of the episode, when we do the
There we go.
rewatch.
Enjoy this part, Stephen. This is for you.
This is for you. Also, Rob and I have got some things to say about Comic-Con, which we'll say for the next episode. And there was something else that was interesting. Speaking about Metal Gear Solid Delta is out. Would be keen to hear some people's thoughts in the comments. I'll save mine for the next episode. I want to make this about Shockwave. And there is nothing else that is really cool to say, other than, if you don't have one, try and get one, because we love it. It is, as far as GI Joburg's concerned, a GI Joe staple. Like, it's something you have to have. It's one of our avatars. And Night Force or Blue, that is up to you. Let us know. And as we said earlier in the episode, thank you to our Patreons for supporting the channel and for supporting us. And our love for this toy line and our love for toys in general. And so and by extension, thank you to the YouTube members, because you guys do the same thing. You help us stay connected and just relevant by being able to actually buy some new toys every now and then, which is great. That's one of the ways that your channel contributions assist us. And it's great because it keeps us relevant, especially now when shipping is like stupidly priced.
It's crazy.
Especially now that toys have gone up. It really helps us with bringing some stuff in every now and then. So thank you. You are the gift that keeps on giving.
We love everyone, even if you just watch us and you comment.
Yes, and if you just like and comment on our videos, we appreciate that as well.
We love you all.
In fact, we've always appreciated that. And yeah, let us know how you listened to this episode. Did you watch us? Did you listen to us on your morning commute? Were you listening to us while washing the dishes and then threw a plate when I mentioned that Rob said beachhead means Shockwave was a better beachhead? I want to know these things.
Or you agreed with me. Let us
Or you
know,
agreed
and
with
let's
him.
not drag this out.
Yeah, let's not drag it out.
You agree with me.
Drag it out. Drag it out. Make it a thing. Don't agree. Don't just agree with Rob. Cool.
Do it.
Cool. Do it now. Come on. There was. Oh, I've got to save for another podcast. But there have been some interesting
Please do.
rumors about classified lately that I'm also going to get into.
$3.95, guys. You heard it right here. We're going to be discussing rumors about classifieds, Comic-Con, and everything else. But thank you for joining us with Shockwave. The
It's
Shockwave
been
focused
magical.
episode.
And keep playing with your toys, guys, and we will catch you on the next one. Yo, Joe. Shockwave. I've got to lean to like play the outro video, and here we go.